Hello everybody and welcome. As many of you might have seen on the Simon Dan channel, he has been talking about a new YouTube nut that is out there and completely misunderstanding astronomy, and that is this guy talking to Leedskalnin. I will not go into what this Leedskalnin guy is. My good friend FE Peer Review did a great job summarizing the history around that guy. I will link his video in the description. We will instead look at the misunderstanding of this guy that you see right now in this video about how the Earth actually orbits the Sun.
23.4 degree tilt to our axis. Okay? There is 23.4 degrees from the equator to each tropic. And what Ed Leedskalnin also says is that we have a 23.4 degree orbital angle. Okay? Now, if you're paying attention, you'd say, well, this comes out to a zero-sum game, right? So if we're at that angle and we're going at that angle, and so it would just never change, right? It would just stay the same. So you say,
okay, so let's summarize what we've learned so far. He says from second one that the Earth has a 23.4 degree tilt, which is true. He then goes on saying that there's also a 23.4 degree tilt from the equator to any one of the tropics, which is also true. And then he claims that there's also a 23.4 degree orbital angle, which is of course complete bullshit. And Simon Dan also called him out on that by simulating this in Universe Sandbox and proving that this never could be the case, because we then would have an equinox every day of the year, because the Earth would not be tilted relative to the Sun. It would have a right angle relative to the Sun, as in this idiot's stupid drawing, and that would mean equal day and night all year around. But there's something off in this drawing. Do you spot it? There, you see it? He's drawing the orbit from the Tropic of Cancer at the bottom right to the Tropic of Capricorn at the top left. If you're asking how the Earth might behave like this, it's magnetism, of course.
really, the only one of these, if we say, oh, these two things, the orbital angle and the angle of our axis, cancel out, well, then what we're left with is this. We're left with the 23.4 degrees from equator to tropic that we move, that science says we move from tropic to tropic.
Okay, so let's get this straight. The 23.4 degree tilt and the tilt of the orbit, they cancel out. That's what he just said. So in essence, again, like I said before, if this were actually the case, then we would have equal day and night cycles throughout the year, because the Earth would not be tilted relative to the Sun. Okay, so let us all get this straight. So the first 23.4 degrees, they somehow magically cancel out, although it was all so beautifully coherent 5 seconds before. Never mind that, they just cancel out. So in essence, you wouldn't have to have your drawing the way you drew it. You could have just drawn it straight, get rid of that 23.4 orbital angle, and just realize that the angle between the sun and the Earth's north-south axis is always 90 degrees, hence causing the problem, which I personally have repeatedly tried to talk to him about. It's the problem that we have equal day and night cycles all year around. And this is what Simon Dan also proved in his universe sandbox experiment. But he will just ignore all this and just continue with his blathering. Let's continue.
As lateral deviation, okay? And it's the movement from tropic to tropic along the axial orbital plane.
Axial orbital plane. Yeah, this guy doesn't know shit about fuck what he's talking about.
3,226.392 miles of lateral deviation from tropic to tropic as we move throughout the year.
Okay, so for your convenience, I skipped ahead what felt like 50 minutes of him getting around these 4 lines done, and wrongly, I might add. But anyway, so all he did was in these past few minutes to add the 23.4 degrees from the equator to the Tropic of Cancer to the equator to the Tropic of Capricorn, which adds up to 46 point whatever degrees. It's fine. Then he adds up his 68.94 miles, whatever kind of fucked up hillbilly miles he is measuring with. I have no idea. He's not measuring in nautical miles, because then that would be 60 miles per degree, and he's not measuring in statute miles, because that would be around 69.05 miles. So just for funsies, I'm gonna measure with normal miles and multiply his 46.87 degrees times 69.05 and get 3,236 and change miles. Okay, fine.
Now, this is in imperial units. If you do it in metric, and then convert it, it will come out to I think 3,210 miles, something. It comes out like on an even amount, but it's 3,221 miles. I think exactly is what it comes out to if you.
Yeah. Whatever.
3,226.392 miles is off from the closest thing I can find, and my way is also considered acceptable, and I'm off by less than 1,000th of what anyone would consider to be in the industry what we call dead nuts.
Funny.
Going from summer, where the tropic is the closest. Also, please notice that at a 23.4 degree angle, which is what this line is, a 23.4 degree angle, that the Earth can land on each tropic this way. Like, it works out perfectly.
Notice how excited he gets when he tries to explain this, and he doesn't even realize how it doesn't make any sense. Like, what does it mean the Earth lands perfectly on the axial plane that's tilted 23.4 degrees? What does it actually mean? You don't have any idea, man.
Centered with the sun. It has made a southern adjustment as it is moving north. It's very confusing, isn't it?
That is the first correct thing that you said in this video, sir. How can it be simple and all make sense and be all beautiful when it's very confusing and doesn't make the slightest bit of sense?
It's traveling north. Its orientation is moving south while its position is moving northward. And then we see this happen again, and this is another 1,600 miles of deviation from the equator, which by absolute default will create a difference in angle to the sun, and therefore a difference in the day and night cycles. And it works just as predictably as the conventional model.
Oh, will it now? Jeez, man, why don't you tell us about this magic thing that's happening there that you're just kind of skipping over, almost as if you don't want to talk about it? I mean, I really want to learn how the seasons magically happen by default. Okay, anyway, I tried to talk to this guy multiple times about his angle mumbo jumbo. He also claimed that he tested all this in Universe Sandbox. He never actually showed any of this, of course. He never actually talks to anyone or tries to explain it in a normal voice. He immediately defaults to insults and condescension. So instead of trying to argue with him over and over again in the chat, I tried to make his model work with the data he gave us in his video. And let's see what we will find out and if it actually works. Spoiler alert, it won't. Okay, so with the data he himself measured and calculated, we can form a triangle and measure what the angle the sun would apparently make in the sky from tropic to tropic, or I'm going to do it in the next few minutes from the equator to the tropic, so from the equinox to either one of the solstices. We can measure that with the data he gave us. Because the first side will be the actual distance between the tropic and the equator, which is 1410 nautical miles. I'm going to measure in actual nautical miles, not his hillbilly miles. And since we know the actual distance to the sun, because it has been measured multiple times by actual professionals that know what they're doing, we also know the distance between Earth and the sun, which is, very many nautical miles. And with that data, we can calculate the angle that the sun would have to make in the sky when looking from Earth, if the Earth was actually moving the way he claims it is. That is some high precision angle That is some high precision angle measurement that I made there. I mean, it's to the millionth precision, so that's going to count for something. And it's nowhere near your 23.4 or 23.5 degrees that the sun actually makes in the sky. I wonder what you're going to answer to that there. I'm really, really excited. And until then, I wish you all a very, very awesome day. Take care.